Alright, well, this is a video for helping those that are struggling with getting the bevel set properly, getting it even, whether it's a warped spine or just you don't have one, like in the case of this razor. So that's what we're going to be going on with. Sorry about the mumbling and the quiet audio, but it's figuring everything out. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you. How's it going? We're going to see how this goes. Wanted to show how you would do spine correction without removing spine. So this was a restoration. The faux backing, or whatever you want to call it, faux, I don't know what you call it. It was like a piece that was here is all rusted out, and so I had to take it off. And so I'm going to show you how you would build up the spine to be able to make it so you can create a nice bevel. So you can use like a wax, which is kind of harder to use, but it's a little bit more firm, and so that might work, but this is a little bit harder to work with. But if you're finding that this is too soft and it's not being consistent enough with the putty, then I would suggest going with this, but it's a little bit harder to use, but it still works. So I would roll this out, get it a consistent thickness. And ideally you would have like a height setting thing or whatever so you can get it consistent, but I don't have that, so I just do it by eye. Yeah, that's probably good. So then you lay this out without cutting yourself. If it'll stick. And it's nice to have some paper, wax paper, so you can push it on without sticking to the backboard. So you see it pushes in. Sometimes it won't stick, other times it does. Depends on if you've got oil on it, which I do. And so ideally, when you want to look at it, you want to make sure that the bevel is sitting flat against the surface down here. I don't know where my camera's at, but you want it sitting flat. So it's kind of hard to show right now, but by looking here, it's not rocking. It looks even. And then so I would just make sure this is sitting properly on there. And then I just go down inside it. That looks fine. And sometimes like this is fine where it's like lower, because you kind of want that, because it adds a little bit more structure to it. Or not structure, but more balance when you're going on the stones. But, that sucks.
Sorry for the noise.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So the first one failed, it was too thin, it was dried out, so I'm going to use this one that's a little bit thicker and wetter. So, get on there. It. And it's imperative to have a nice flat even surface, because otherwise it's not gonna do you much good if it's all wonky, because you want basically make it as consistent as possible. And then part of cutting off the edge up of the spine is to see how even it is across the whole thing. So that looks pretty even, and usually I go by eye and by feel. So now this side's set, and now the tricky part is to get the other side on there, and then of course check, make sure it's flat all the way across so it's not moving, and that's pretty good. And then now this side. And that's without messing up the other one, making sure it's even all the way across. So you see, and this one's staying a lot better. And if it seems to be coming off, sometimes you just need to take some high % alcohol and spray and clean off the metal so it's not, doesn't have any oil from your hands or whatnot. So if you look here, it's fairly close to being even, feels solid on the tile. I slide it down this way so I can go down a little bit more. Okay. So that's that. So I have two different sizes. I prefer this because it's slick. And it's thin, so you're not adding too much thickness to it. And it's gonna squeeze out. There's not you can do about it. So you can just do the best you can. Sometimes you have to re-tape it. Should trim more off on the other side, but oh well. And then I do a little bit of pressure on there to make sure that tape is sitting there flat. Good. And then for the spine, I use that size, which I don't remember what millimeter it is, but it's about half inch. And then you lay that across the spine. It's easier to get one side done first, and then push the other side over like that. And of course, this. properly. It's on there good. Make sure that's sticking on the blade. And that seems fairly good. There's no wobble when you test it. You can even do a little bit of pushing. That's what's nice about it being softer material, is you can adjust it later to, if you need more off of the toe or whatever, and so it gets the thickness you want. And then next, you do a test to make sure you got an even bevel across. You don't need something extremely aggressive. Usually I don't work on that, but this is just to show. And then I just do a couple passes like this to make sure, and real light, because you want to really see what you've done. And ideally, just take a piece of marker. And I can feel tooth on that, so it's definitely cutting. So you just do a light pass, and then you would go through and make sure from the toe to the heel the bevel's cut, and that's a pretty small bevel, but it seems to be consistent. Yeah, and light touch is essential because you can get false positives if you do it right, but that looks even, and that's what you're looking for. And if it's not, you can push it down a little bit more, squeeze a little bit more of that out and up to make sure it's even. But since we did that, then you get your little tester and you can test the thing. And they already had a little bit of edge on it already, bevel set, but I wanted to redo it. But that's how you would fix spine without taking stuff off, or like in this case it doesn't have the thing. So hopefully that was helpful, and you can use it for your own stuff. All right, thanks.